10th. Our first order of business is to call the roll. Sheila?
Commissioner Landis,
Here.
Commissioner Nichols,
Here.
Commissioner Swain,
Here.
Commissioner Whitney, Commissioner Phoenix, Commissioner Reed,
Present.
Chairman Hudson.
Present. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. All items approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, May the 25th, 2022, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you also have received a notice for the City Council meeting. Subdivision plats are approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission solely, unless there is a request for waiver of escrow fees or construction. Only the City Council makes financial decisions. If any item is denied, the applicant has 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the Planning Department. The appeal will then be acted upon by the City Council. If you're here to speak for or against an item, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. Like all of our meetings, this meeting is open to the public, and at the immediate conclusion of this meeting, there'll also be a workshop where we plan for the next meeting. The location of that will be decided depending on how late we run today, whether it'll be here or across the street. Our next order of business is the minutes from the commission meeting of April the 5th. Commissioners had an opportunity to review those. Any comments, questions, corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of April 5th, 2022.
Motion's been made.
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Our first zoning item is PD 22006 Southern Classic Holdings. Tharani, are you going to present this to us?
Yes, Commissioner.
Great.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. This is the first case. This is a zone change from C2, General Commercial District, to PCD, Planned Commercial District. This comes with the site plan. This is a property that is located southeast of the intersection of Old Jacksonville Highway and Rake Road. The applicant is proposing the zone change to allow for an auto paint and body shop. I'm looking at the surrounding zoning. The property to the north and west is zoned C1. The property to the north is the location of a church, and the property to the east is developed with commercial uses. The property to the south is also zoned C1 and also RPO, so it's developed with both commercial and office uses respectively. The properties along to the west is across the Old Jacksonville Highway, and it's commercial. It's also developed with commercial uses. Looking at the future land use guide, this will be consistent with the future land use guide. It identifies the property as mixed use center. So the auto paint and body shop is the Caliber Collision. They are proposing to use the existing building that's on site. And also currently there are two driveways on Old Jacksonville Highway. They're proposing to remove one and just use the one along the Old Jacksonville, and there's also two other driveways along Rake Drive. They're planning to, the one to the very south, which is technically the east, they're planning to use a gate so they could have a vehicle storage in the back. Landscaping, parking, signage, and sidewalks will all be as per UDC. In addition to that, they're also proposing a screening because there's a church located across. It's a 6-foot cedar wooden fence along with 5-foot trees and shrubs, so they could screen the vehicle storage in the back, and the dumpster is also located in the back. Okay, that's the location of the property. It's the aerial view. Some pictures. Out of the 18 notices that was sent, no notices was received in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff find that it is consistent with the technical criteria, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from C2 to PCD with the site plan.
Thank you, Tharani. Any questions for city staff?
Ronnie, I have a question for you. So you stated like a cedar fence. Is that correct for the screening? Okay.
Yes.
From the site plan, it appears to show a chain link fence with vinyl, like with vinyl bats. And so I just want to make sure that that has been updated.
Yes, it has been updated, and the updated site plan that currently shows it's a 6-foot cedar fence.
Okay. So I have an out-of-date version.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good question. Any other comments? Any other questions? If not, the only card I have is from Melissa Hernandez. Ms. Hernandez, would you care to come to the microphone and speak, please? Just state your name and address for the record.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Melissa Hernandez. I'm representing the architect for the Caliber Coalition. Everybody knows, I'm sure everybody knows what Caliber Coalition, because it's one of the biggest coalition center in the United States. They have over 2,100 locations nationwide, and they've been over, I think, 25 years in existence. So they're very service-oriented company, and I'm sure they're going to be a good addition to the city, wherein they're going to be closer to their clients. So I'm hoping that the city would consider our proposal, and hopefully this will be a good addition to it. Thank you. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Any questions? Ms.
Yeah. Ms. Hernandez, I do have a question. So specifically about the vehicles that are being worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And so would those typically be behind this screening fence and that type of thing? Can you kind of talk a little bit about the protocol for that?
Sure. Typically, when there's a damaged vehicle, when they arrive in the location, they would assess it if they're going to have to repair it or if they're going to total it. I mean, those vehicles that are considered total, they would get rid of them right away, and they won't stay in there for more than two days.
Okay.
And those that will be in need of repair will stay in the fenced area for no more than 7 days.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And I believe that I see kind of a sliding gate here as well. And so is that going to be of the same material as the screening along Reed Road?
typically, it should be the same as the
Okay.
the fence.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because it just shows a sliding gate, and I didn't know whether there would be any cohesion across Reed Road and then as it goes across. Okay.
Typically, it's the same.
Okay. All right.
All right, any other questions for this witness? We just love to have good neighbors in town, so thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's the only card I have on this item. Any other person who'd like to speak for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve PD 22-006.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. Good luck with your project. Next is PD 22-007. I think that's 007, I'm pretty sure. Oak Industrial Park, Tharani?
This is a zone change request from R1B, single-family residential unit, to PUR, planned unit residential. This property is located northeast intersection of Elkton Trail and Timberway. In January 2002, this was rezoned from C2 to R1B for single-family homes, and they're coming back with the PUR because they're proposing a private street with a gated subdivision. That's the whole purpose of this zoning. Looking at the surrounding area, RMF to the north is an apartment complex, south R1B, it's all developed with single-family homes. To the east is C1, it's all undeveloped, and to the west is C2. That is a warehouse and also undeveloped property in the back. Looking at the future land use guide, this would be consistent because it identifies such property as mixed use. Looking at the entire area, this would be in addition to the mixed use development in the area. The site plan, it proposes 29 single-family homes, which was the same as the R1B that was proposed. Also, they're adding an open space lot along Elton Trail, the signage, sidewalk, landscaping, all of the regulations will meet UDC. You could see they're having an entrance gate off of Elton Trail, and there's going to be 2 exit gates off of Timber Way that's being proposed. Out of the 19 notices that was sent, no notices was received in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from R1B to PUR.
Ronnie, how long is that cul-de-sac?
It's definitely less than 600 feet from the second intersection to the north.
Any other questions or comments? The only card I have on this item is from Skip Ogle. Mr. Ogle, let the record show that Skip Ogle, 305 South Broadway, is available for questions. Any questions for Mr. Ogle for city staff? All right. If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve PD 22-007.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. Good luck with your project. Next is Z22-029, NTS Communications. Thorani?
This is a zone change request from PCD, that's Planned Commercial District, to a C1, that's Light Commercial District. This is a property that's located along West Gentry Parkway. The applicant is requesting the zone change for a minor utility structure on the property. Looking at the surrounding zoning, the property to the north is R2 and R1B is developed with single-family homes. The property to the east and west is zone C1, that is the commercial use, but the west, to the east is the Dollar General location, and to the properties to the west are single-family homes, and there's also a couple of undeveloped land. The south is the West Gentry Parkway, which is a major arterial street. The future land use guide, this is not consistent with the future land use guide. This would amend from single-family and single-family attached to neighborhood commercial. The applicant plans to build a pre-engineered building assembled on site. It's for to serve the Wex's fiber operations. The PCD in 2002, looking at some history, it was rezoned from C1 Light Commercial District at that time to PCD for the development of a car lot. Back then there was a opposition, and so that they wanted to have it to restrict it to PCD for only for the development of car lot. And now changing this to C1, this would actually be a downzoning, and it would bring for light commercial use, and it will allow for the operations of Wex's fiber. And you could see the site plan over there. It shows that they're gonna have just one server room to the very northeast of the property. That's going to be the development, and that's the property. Out of the 24 notices that was sent, no notices was received in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from PCD to C1.
Thank you, Thorani. Any questions for city staff? If not, I do not have a card on this item, or the persons here who would like to speak on this item for our audience.
I do have a question then for city staff.
Please, Jimmy.
And so, assumably, and maybe y'all know that no towers or anything. This is just going to be for all underground fiber optics. No above ground poles or anything else like that. Just the building itself. Correct?
Yes.
Is that what y'all understanding is? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good question. Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve Z22-029.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-022, Juan Carlos Maya.
Yes, sir.
This is a zone change request from R1B Single Family to R2 Two Family Residential District. This is located on West 5th Street. It's currently an undeveloped lot. The applicant's requesting the zone change to develop a duplex on the property. The property to the north is currently zoned PUR, is developed with townhomes, recently constructed townhomes. The properties to the west and east are currently developed with single-family homes. This request would amend the future land use guide to single-family and single-family attached from single-family medium-low density. As you can see here, the applicant does own the property to the east of this lot, and the surrounding properties are developed with single-family homes. The applicant could construct a detached single-family home on this property without a zone change. The street, as you can see, the street as it's developed and has been developed, is developed with single-family homes. This request would introduce two-family or a duplex onto the street mid-block. In reviewing the technical criteria for zone change, it asks whether the request would be compatible with the existing form of development. Staff does not see that this would be consistent with that, as these are detached single-family homes on this block. And so with that, after performing a technical review, staff recommends denial of this zone change.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Kyle?
Kyle, I drove by this and I didn't see any legal non-conforming duplexes on the street at all either.
Right.
And so can you just confirm just that there are no, not only zoned incorrectly or not for a duplex, but even any legal non-conforming duplexes either? This would be introducing something new.
Sure, yeah, I'm not aware of any. I don't think we identified that. If the applicant is here, maybe they might know something, or
Okay.
any neighbors, but as it stands, like you said, they appear to be all single-family homes used that way. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Kyle.
I don't have a card on this item. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? Is the applicant here? Anybody want to speak? If not, the staff recommendation is to deny. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we deny Z22-022.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's denied. Next is Z22-024, Fumo Nelson.
This is a zone change from C1 light commercial to M1 light industrial district. This is just a portion of this property here. The property that the applicant owns is addressed off North Spring Avenue, and the property is split zone, so it does have this portion of C1. The applicant's requesting the change to be able to develop the property under the same zoning regulations for the site. And so the future land use guide is high density mixed use. This request is consistent with that. As you can see, just a vacant piece of, or part of the property there. A little bit of history. So the property's on the west side. Back before Broadway was widened, they were all zoned for multifamily, and at some point they became commercial. And I think as right-of-way was acquired, maybe some of the property lines changed or whatnot, and so so that's why we have that little piece left here. Of the notices that were sent out, 0 were returned in favor or in opposition, and the staff recommends approval of this request.
Thank you, Kyle. I mean, it's landlocked. There's no, except for an adjoining property.
Right, yeah, it'll be accessed with, it's being combined with the lots to the east, and it'll be part of that.
I don't have a card on this item. Are there persons here who would like to speak on this application? Yes, sir. You come,
No, to answer your question, if you have.
please come to the microphone. I just need to.
nothing to say, just to answer questions if you have questions.
Okay.
But
Would you
what to say?
state your name and address for the record?
My name is Nelson Fumo.
Any questions, Mr. Fuller? All right, thank you very much for your time and presence. Any other person who'd like to speak or on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve Z22-024.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion?
Hello.
If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is approved. Next is, good luck. Next is Z22-027, Alejandro Barron. Kyle?
This is a zone change request from R2 two-family to PMF, Planned Multifamily Residential District. This is off of East Elm Street. The applicant is requesting the change to develop multifamily uses and to essentially bring what they have existing into conformance. As you can see, the surrounding properties to the east and west are R2 two-family. There's a mixture of single-family homes and duplexes. The property to the west appears to be a non-conforming. There's a duplex plus an additional unit, so 3 units on that property. To the north are primarily developed with single-family homes, although they are zoned light industrial. And to the south is the location of a religious facility. It's children's clinic, I think it's St. Paul's. The future land use guide identifies this as single-family, medium, low density. At the time when the packet went out, to the commissioners, we did not have a site plan. We still don't have a site plan. This is the latest we got recently, showing just some modifications to the existing footprints, it looks like, but I believe they are adding an additional unit to remodel one of those buildings into an additional living space. The site plan is not adequate for review or consideration. In reviewing the property here, like I mentioned, on the west, there appears to be some nonconformity there. And to the north of that is actually Don Juan, so that is commercial property there. But to the east is still single-family development. And with that, staff did review the request and finds that the existing R2 zoning would be more compatible with that neighborhood, given the existing form of development. And so with the R2 development, the applicant could develop a duplex along with the garage apartment, so you still have essentially 2.5 units on the property. And so at this time, staff will recommend a denial of the request for multifamily zoning. And if the applicant wanted to discuss further other options, we could do that. But at this time, staff doesn't recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Kyle?
So Kyle, in addition to the site plan that was received, anything about any off-street parking or nothing was specifically given for that either?
No, it looks like the intent is to add additional, I'm not sure if the applicant's here, but, no, they are here. Maybe they can explain what they plan to do, but it would be rather difficult to kind of meet those other requirements with that small of a site.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Leo Zuniga.
Please state your name and address for the record. You didn't, please fill a card before you leave.
On the back, it was already existing. We were gonna just remodel. We're not adding square foot or nothing. It's on a concrete pad already. Used to be like a bedroom, but I tore it down, and we're gonna put new electrical, plumbing, all that to the update because it was very old. But we're not adding no square foot or nothing. At the back, by Don Juan's, we're making it multiple because upstairs, they do have their driveway, and then the one that we are remodeling, it also has its own driveway. So both of them do have their own parking spots. And St. Paul is at the front of the house, but the one behind it is where they'll be driving through, going to the back, behind on Wands. That street behind there?
It appears in the alley.
Yeah, the alley
alley
right
on
there
the
is where
north
they both have their driveways for that one. And I just want to remodel it, you know. It already has this concrete pad. It used to be, I guess, it had a bedroom. It had a bathroom. I want to put a bathroom, and I only had a bedroom out there downstairs. So, but it wasn't updated. It was old. So I want to do new electrical, new plumbing, new framing. But yes.
Mr. Zadiga, I guess probably one of the biggest things obviously is the number of, and staff can talk to you specifically about that, but the number of bedrooms and the size of the unit dictates the number of off-street parking spaces that are required. And so not only the construction of the actual building itself, or whether it was existing or not, it has to conform to the requirements for an actual dwelling unit. And so that was my particular question.
We could do 1 or 2 bedrooms because the other one right beside it has only 1 bedroom, with the kitchen, and living room, and they're about the same size. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Kyle, what are the requirements for?
is it a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, or?
It would be, I believe it's two parking spaces per unit.
Per unit?
Yeah,
Okay, regardless of the number of bedrooms or?
right.
Yeah, okay.
You know, there may be an opportunity for you to work with city staff about
Okay.
some other plan, but you've heard the staff's recommendation tonight. Not that we've acted on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and presence. Are there other persons who'd like to speak on this item? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we deny Z22-027.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Items denied. Next is Z22-028. Kyle?
All right. This is a zone change request from C1 Light Commercial District to PMF, excuse me, PMF Planned Multifamily Residential District. This is to allow for the development of multifamily residential units. The applicant is requesting to develop 80 units on this property with a density of just under 6.5 units per acre, 6.47 units per acre. The surrounding properties are currently zoned commercial. There is some agricultural zoning, but I believe those are for overhead power lines. And it's generally being developed around it as office uses. This would amend part of the future land use guide to correct it to mixed use center, which is a logical use in this area. As you can see, it's some surrounding office uses and we'll have the site plan. Site plan on there. The applicant has proposed a site plan. We're going to pull it up here. Setbacks are 25 feet around the property, the boundary of the property, with 15 feet between structures, which is consistent with multifamily zoning. Oh, we got one here. As of all the notices that were sent out, zero were returned in favor or in opposition to the change. Can we focus that?
Before we go forward, let the record show that Mr. Landis has recused himself and left the room, but we still have a quorum, so we can still act. Ronnie, you're going to show us the
Can you flip it back? All right. So, and so there's gated access to Oak Hill Boulevard, and there's also exit access to the east through the office development there. So this staff has reviewed this. You go back to the PowerPoint. The application and recommends approval of the zone change from C1 to PMF.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any questions for Kyle? If not, I have a card for Mr. Breedlove. Bob, you. Bob, did you have any comments?
Oh, no, sir, I'm sorry. Bob Breedlove, 1321 South Broadway, here representing the owner and developer. Pretty straightforward project, PMF. They're two-story, fourplex buildings with garages, gated entry and a gated exit. You have to answer any questions y'all have?
Any questions for Mr. Breedlove? There's a lot going on. Kyle, what's the staff's recommendation?
Oh, sorry. We recommend approval.
That's the only card I have on this item. Are there other persons here who'd like to speak on this item for our guests? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we approve Z22-028.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. Yeah. We'll wait for Mr. Landis to come back. The next item on our agenda is Z 22-031, Jose Salcedo. I hope I pronounced that right. Kyle?
This is a request from R1B Single Family to C1 Light Commercial District. The applicant is requesting this zone change to extend their parking lot into this area to serve the commercial uses that are along Vine Street or Vine Avenue. I'll go back. The surrounding properties are to the east and south are commercial uses. To the west, there are some single-family homes. To the north is R1D. It's currently undeveloped. I believe the applicant also owns that property as well and intends to develop that with single-family homes or townhomes. This request is consistent with the future land use guide, shown as neighborhood commercial. As you can see here, there is some parking going on in the grass already, but they do intend to accommodate the uses to the east to add parking spaces there. They will be required to provide a buffer yard to the north, adjacent to the residential property, and then if there's any cars facing the west, they will need to be screened with at least a 3-foot screen, which could be shrubs or a fence. As you can see here, the Nell Avenue, which is along the west side, it's really built to kind of an alley standard, so getting any type of driveway access to that would not be feasible, and so that kind of limits the access, additional access onto that street by putting this keeping this with the commercial uses. Of the notices that we received, 0 were returned in favor or in opposition, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from R1B to C1.
I know we've all seen this. It seems like a pretty cramped use of that space. I don't have a card on this item. Is there anybody here, applicant or anybody here who wishes to speak? Any more questions for Kyle? All right, if not, would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z 22-031.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. The chair's going to vote no on this one, but it passes 4-1, I believe. Next is Z 22-023, MD Divine Homes.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is a zone change from light industrial to single-family residential, attached and detached. The applicant is requesting a zone change to develop a single-family home. It's located at 304 North George Avenue. To the east, to the northwest and south, it is zoned M1 light industrial and developed with industrial uses, a single-family home respectively. Oh, I'm sorry. To the east is zoned R2, and it is developed with a single-family home. The future land use guide. This would amend it from single-family low density to single-family and single-family attached. This zone change is consistent with the Tyler First goal to add more residents to the North End planning area. Of the 16 notices mailed out, none were returned in favor and none were returned in opposition to. The city staff has performed technical review and anticipates that is generally consistent with the approval criteria. Staff recommends approval of the zone change.
All right, thanks. Any questions for city staff? I don't have a card on this item, but the person's here who'd like to speak on this item for us. Yes, sir. You state your name and address for the record.
My name's Sean Harrell, and I own the property on the corner of Locust and Fleshville there that's behind that lot. And that lot's real small, and it's that area's been zoned M1 for years. And I got plans for that lot, you know, in the future. I've got 3 lots there that were owned by Samar Hill for years, and I bought it from them. And I just think that that area right there on that corner is just too small for a house, and for you know, and I would like to see it not be changed to residential right in that area.
All right, any questions for this witness?
Mr. Merrill, can you, you said to the south, or where's your property?
Well, it's the 3 lots behind that. It's
To the west of it,
To the west.
left of it.
Yes, okay. All right.
yeah, because he's on the corner, and then I have a little over an acre right there.
Okay.
And you know, it's zoned M1 right now, and it has been for years.
Okay.
And you know, I just don't think that a house on that little small corner is a good idea.
What are your plans for your property?
Well, you know, I hate to reveal that right now, but you know, definitely I'd like to develop it.
Okay.
You know, in the future.
Okay.
Can you go back to the overhead view?
Sir?
Could our guy, is that a house just to the north that's about on the same size tract as this one?
Yes, sir.
There's actually a house there that's on George Street that's beside that lot that I've been trying to buy, but it's been tied up in an estate, and so I hadn't been able to do anything with it yet. But, you know, it's been almost condemned, and, you know, the elderly lady that's got it is just, you know, they're waiting to get all the paperwork cleared, you know, for B to B purchase that one, which would make me the owner completely around him. And then I wouldn't want to keep that house there. I'd like to do something different with it.
You said one of your reasons for being against it is that you think that lot's too small for a house.
It's .17 acres, yes, sir. It's very small. It's very small.
And where do you actually live?
Sir?
Where's your actual address? Where do you actually live?
Well, I actually live at 2810 Canton Street. And I've been a resident of Tyler for years. And, you know, we've got a little small restaurant here in town, and my brother owns a business, a plumbing business in town, and we've been successful here, you know, and, you know, we're here to stay.
What restaurant?
It's Los Pueblos Taqueria on Vine.
Say again?
Los Pueblos Taqueria on Vine. And then he owns Andrews Plumbing. And then, you know, he's got several lots here in Tyler, commercial properties. And we've got the lot over on Gentry with the ice machine, the old post office over there. And we've got a church in right now. That's a Spanish mission. And, you know, we've got the corner from Mr. Glass, that service station right there. We've had that for the last 5 years. And that's my office, and his office is actually on Vine Street. But you know, we've been successful here in Tyler, and you know, that corner is really small for a house.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Be sure and fill out a card.
Thank you.
Before you leave.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Sure, thanks.
I have a question for city staff.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. Okay, so let's say we approve the zone change. Would Mr. Merrill, if he did his industrial development here on the other corner, he would be required to provide a buffer yard between him and the proposed. Would he be required to provide a buffer yard from him and the legal non-conforming to the north, even though it's M1?
No. Well, to this property of his rezone, yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
to the
his
north,
east.
to
his
yeah.
east, yes.
To the other property that's currently, other home developed in M1, the code requires a buffer yard that's based off zoning, not off land use.
Not off
So,
use, okay.
so no, not to that one. I would say that this property does kind of meet, it conforms to the existing form of development in that area. I believe this property used to be developed with the house in the past. That's why you kind of see some legal nonconformity in here with the other house already in M1. And it can serve as that buffer there to the other homes currently developed on the east side of George Avenue. But to answer your question, they would need a buffer yard on this property, but not on the other one. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Commissioners, any other questions? Any other person here would like to speak on this item? Is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Might be a little late to ask this, but the applicant's not here.
Applicant for this project here? No.
I have a question for city staff. I'm assuming that where the house would face, the house would need to face Locust Street. Is that correct? I mean, is that the shortest?
It looks like that's,
version, or the
yeah.
shortest?
Looks like that might be the shortest frontage, yes, so Locust Street. I say, and so the purpose of, you know, the R1D is because of the smaller lot size that we have here. And so this property has been M1 probably for quite some time, and they're currently looking to develop it now with a house. And like Matthew said, this is in the north end, so that would be beneficial to meeting that goal.
Commissioners any commissioner would like to make a motion? Any motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Z22-023.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item's approved. Next is Z22-025, Opal Kid.
Yes, this is the zone change from RPO to R1A. It's located on 1507 East Front Street. The applicant is looking to zone change to bring the single-family use of the property into conformance with the Unified Development Code, also for financing purposes as well. Located to the east and west are RPO properties. Go back. To the south is zoned R2, which show a mixture of single-family homes and duplexes. To the north, it's zoned C1, and it contains a doctor's office. The future land use guide shows that this property is zoned for general commercial, so this would amend the future land use guide. The home was built in 1930. In 1984, there was a city-initiated zone change to change the zoning from R2, two-family residential, to RPO, restricted professional office. The portion of Block 237A fronting East Front Street mostly consists of single-family homes rather than offices. As of Friday, May 6th, of the 10 notices mailed, 1 was returned in favor and none in opposition. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is generally consistent with the approval criteria. Staff recommends approval of the zone change.
Mike, any questions for city staff?
So this is currently being used as a single-family home?
Yes, as are most of the houses on that street,
On that street.
despite being zoned RPO.
Right, yes. And this is primarily for financing purposes, it sounds like, or sale and financing purposes.
Right, I believe it's just to make sure that the property could be used as a single-family home if they are getting financing for it. With it being RPO, if the use were to cease for 6 months or more, then it couldn't be used for a single-family home anymore or a single-family use. It would have to be used for an office, which at this time, given, looking at how the properties are still in single ownership and they're all still used as single-family homes, it might be difficult to develop it as an office. But anyway, so the purpose is to get the financing and to ensure that it can be used once they purchase it.
It would just seem like it's completely out of place with everything else that's around it. There's no R1A zoning around it. I just wonder if there's a different alternative, like an AR.
Sure, that's one option. That would be an option. We'd have to come back and approach that or
Sure.
redo that one, but
Right.
yeah, thinking through, perhaps allowing, using AR as a tool to allow it to stay as residential and potentially commercial as things progress. I think that was the idea back, in '84 was that all that frontage on East Front Street was going to be suitable for that development. It just hasn't happened yet, so all those homes are still single-family homes. But an AR zoning could be a good compromise for that. With it being noticed for R1A, we'd have to either act on this request or table it and ask, re-notify and do it again as AR. Yeah. Or some other, like R2 or something a little bit more, and this property kind of lends itself to a little bit more higher density
Yes.
as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is there is a current path for continuing to use it as a single family home. It's basically a grandfathering.
Right.
Okay.
Right, it's legal non-conforming, so it can operate that way. You know, the use of the structure can operate as single family unless it stops for 6 months. So
Right,
maybe there's an issue with obtaining a tenant, that's kind of the risk. And I think that's why the lender wants to, at least in this case, wants to make sure it gets rezoned. But like you said, AR would also allow single family homes, so that would also accomplish that question. So
Was that option given to the applicant?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think that might be something that we could, if the commission wants to consider, something that doesn't take it back all the way to exclusive single family, but still accommodate the applicant, then we can, procedurally table the item and re-notify it and do it again.
Yeah, we can't do that here. We
No.
would need to go through the process again.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jimmy. I do have cards on this item. Kim Maddox. If you'd come forward and state your name and address for the record.
And my name is Kim Kidd Maddox, and my grandparents bought this house in 1954. My grandmother was a woman of vision, so she might have figured all this out with the medical and the hospitals being so close by. But my tenant's mother has been there for 15 years, and we are dissolving this family partnership because I'm the last living one other than nephews and nieces. And they've been there 15 years, and we were giving them the first right to purchase. And so this was done in '84, and like I say, she was a woman of vision, so she might have opposed it, or she might have been all about it. So, but I respect your options. And you would like to say?
State your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jose Zavala, and it's just me and my mom and 2 other siblings, and we've been living there for more than 15 years. The reason why we're trying to get the house is because, financial purposes, it's just my mom and 3 of us, and we would like to see if we can purchase the house.
That's where we're running into trouble, is their financing won't allow it being an office,
Right.
home office thing. It needed to be residential.
Needs to be residential. Yeah.
All right, thank you both for your time and presence, unless there are further questions.
So what they're requesting is the best interest for the person living there right now, what the request is as put forth right here?
What they've requested would allow them to accomplish what they intend to do. I think some of the other discussion that Mr. Reed has laid out is whether there's a way to rezone it in a way that accomplishes what they want to do, and as well as keep that area, flexible enough for some commercial activity later on, or office development, if something does change in the future. So if we wanted to do that, then we would need to kind of restart the zone change process and come back next month and do that.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any other persons who wish to speak? Mr. Swain, did you have?
I guess my question is related to the lending institution. You think there would be any challenges if there was a 30-day delay? Would that cause them hardship and not being able to get? That'd be a big deal.
I don't think it'll be.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we table Z22-025 in effort to attempt to change the zoning request to AR as potential if the applicants are in agreement to that. If they're not, then we can process next month in that particular case. If that was not the case, my request would, or my motion would have been different, because I believe that they've been a victim of a pyramid zoning aspect that was put on their property in the past. And so, but yes, my motion is to table for 30 days, Z22-025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Our motion's been made and seconded to table this item for 30 days. I think the applicant understands the situation and any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for your time and presence here. Next is Z22-026, James and Winona Motley.
Yes, this is a zone change from light commercial C1 to general commercial C2. The location is at 1012 and 1016 Meadow Lane. As you can see, that portion is zone C1. North and east are zone C2, developed with a donut shop and employment agency, respectively. South and west are developed with single-family homes, and they're zoned R1B. The future land use guide identifies this as neighborhood commercial, so this would amend the future land use guide to general commercial. The subject property is currently zoned C1, light commercial. The current zoning for this subject property does not allow for the property to be developed as a tattoo studio. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop the property with a tattoo studio. In February of 2008, there was a previous zoning case regarding the subject property. In this zoning case, city staff had recommended a less intense commercial district on the south portion of subject property in order to protect the residential uses to the south and west. Staff has not identified any changes to the condition since then. Of the 15 notices mailed, no notices were returned in favor, and one was returned in opposition. Staff has performed technical review and finds that it is generally not consistent with the approval criteria, and the total protest calculation is 1.43, and staff recommends denial of the zone change.
All right, thanks. Any questions for city staff? I don't have a card on this item, or the persons here who wish to speak on this item for or against. If not, the staff's recommendation is to deny. Is there a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny Z22-026.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item's denied. Next is Z22-030, Ali Jamal Wardlaw. Anybody?
This is a zone change request from C1 Light Commercial District to R1D, Single Family Attached and Detached Residential District. This is a property that's located at the northwest intersection of Harmony Street and North Palace Avenue. The applicant is requesting the zone change to bring the property into conformance with the single family use of the property. Looking at the surrounding zoning districts, north, east, and south is zone C1 and are developed with single-family homes, and there's also undeveloped land mixed among it. And the property to the west is zoned R1B and is also developed with single-family homes, so the entire area is predominantly single-family homes. The future land use guide, this identifies this property as single-family and single-family attached. This would be consistent with the future land use guide. That's the property and currently has a home, so this will bring the property into conformance. It's the aerial view of the property. Out of the 28 notices that was sent, no notices was received. 2 notices was received in favor and none in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from C1 to R1D.
Thank you. Any questions for city staff? If not, I don't have any cards on this item, or the persons here who wish to speak on this item for or against. If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Z22-030.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That brings us to plats. Kyle, Thrani,
Ronnie's gonna do it. Yep.
F21-202, Cypress Ridge.
This is a 31 lot subdivision, approximately 21.42 acres of land. It's located south of the southwest intersection of County Road 431 and County Road 461. It's to the south of I-20 right there. To give you a location, the property is currently zoned, currently not zoned, it's outside the city limits, so it's the Zone 2 of Tyler ETJ. They are creating 31 lots. Let me go to the plat itself. All the staff comments have been addressed, and staff recommends approval of this plat.
Are the persons here, any questions for city staff? Are the persons here who wish to comment on this plat? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve item F21-202.
Second.
Mr. Swain makes the motion, and Mr. Reed seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is F22-022, St. Louis Heights.
This is a 2-lot subdivision. They are creating 2 lots, subdividing 1 lot into 2. It's located at the southwest intersection of Patrick Street and Reinhardt Street. The subject property is currently zoned R1B. Right now, when they subdivide the property into 2, it does not meet the minimum lot size. They'll have to come back with the zone change. So at this time, the staff recommends denial because all the staff comments have not been addressed.
Thank you. Throwing any questions for city staff? Are there persons here who wish to comment on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny F22-022.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's denied. Next is F22-045, Apple Professional Center.
This is a 2-lot subdivision, 13.38 acres. It's north of the northeast intersection of Copeland Road and Waterford Court. They're subdividing the property 1 into 2. It's currently zoned R1A. It requires notices, and that's why it's in there. And also, it has the construction plans for utilities, and they have not been submitted yet. So at this time, all the staff comments have not been addressed, and staff recommends denial.
All right. Persons here wish to comment on this, speak on this item? Any questions for city staff? Yes, sir.
My name's Dick Brown. My wife, Camille, and I own Stepping Stone School, and this particular subdivision is part of our property, and I was not aware that it was denied, and I'm not sure that there's any questions that hadn't been answered, so that was a surprise to me.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. What exactly have they failed to respond to, Kyle, or meet? What criteria?
Well, it looks like proposed lot 2L does not have any existing water service, and so an extension of a water main is required to serve that lot, wherever that is. I think that's 2L is on the north side. Is that it? Okay. Right there.
Where's 2L?
So is that the criteria that they need to meet?
They would be required, according to the review comments that we received, would be to submit plans for that, to serve that lot.
Put water down there, but it doesn't need water. I'm not sure what the issue is.
Help us, Kyle, if it's, this lot's gonna be subdivided, it's gonna have to have
Right. It looks like up until this point that the portion that is being subdivided out was part of another lot that had access to utilities, water and sewer. And now that's being subdivided away from the, because it was part of the lot on the south that was adjacent to, at the end of that cul-de-sac, down there. And now that's subdivided out, I guess it doesn't have water service anymore. And so for that new lot that's being shown on the plat to be approved, we'd have to have plans for the extension of water service to serve that lot.
Is that the only unmet criteria on this?
It appears so. Yes, sir.
If I may say something.
Yes, sir.
The green area which extends over to Copeland is the road access to our property, which is Lot 2I.
Could we, I'm sorry, could we see the chart that, yeah, that,
Oh, yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, that property, and that extends all the way up to Timber Creek, is Stepping Stone School. And we have two egresses. The one egress is out to Copeland Road, is the green area that is shown in this plat. We acquired that property. We leased it, or we had a right to that when we bought our property that we have the school on. There was an easement already there for the use of the road. There were some issues with the owners of the road, and we ended up in court. And the court settlement eventually allowed me to purchase that road plus a little bit south of our current property, and that would all become part of the Stepping Stone property. And so basically this replat allows us to make that a part of our whole property. And that was the sole purpose.
I suspect if it was combined with Stepping Stone, then that would not be an issue. Because then it would be part of a lot that has existing service for water.
So Mr. Brown, it appears that the 2L that has been created is separate from the Stepping Stone School lot. If your intention was to combine it with the Stepping Stone School lot, that's not what this plat does.
Oh, I'm still confused. I don't see the 2L on what I have. Right, plus everything to the creek. I own everything across this property down to the creek. Well, that's what subdividing this does, is what I thought. Okay.
I'm not sure if I see the 2L either. Can somebody? Okay.
That, on the plat that I have, that is right in the middle of 2J.
Yes, it's 2J. This is just one lot as of right now, it's 2J, and what they're doing is creating this 2K right here, and then 2L right here, so subdividing that one 2J into two portions, 2K and 2L.
Okay, well, I own 2K,
Yeah.
and I don't know anything about the 2L. But if it's south of the creek, then I don't own it. If it's north of the creek, I do.
So your property is 2K and not 2L?
I don't, like I said, I don't know anything about 2L. I've never seen it. And I can't tell on that little drawing where the creek is. If 2L is south of the creek, then it's owned by the McSwains. If it's north of the creek, then it's owned by me.
I'm not sure if I'm seeing the creek either, but it looks like it's to north of the creek.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
it is.
2L appears to be part of your land.
then that would be, if that's the case, it would be part of the McSwain's property, which is shown here as 2J.
That's the previous layout. We just sent notices with regards to that. And this is the layout that was submitted for a flat.
Okay. Well, I apologize, because I don't even know who submitted that. This just showed up in my inbox one day, and I wasn't even aware who had filed it. I just knew that it should have been filed sometime back. And if there's a concern about it, if y'all want to table this, then I'll get with Kyle and his people, and we'll sit down and figure out how to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, if the denial for technical reasons is not really the end of the application, it can be continued to be worked on, no reapplication fee or submittal or anything like that. So since we've identified a deficiency that procedurally we'll deny it, well, the recommendation is to deny it, but we'll continue to work on it and get it to a good form for approval. And we can take a look at, I mean, as it stands right now, that is the review comment that we communicated, and so, but we could continue to work on it. We can talk offline here.
Procedurally, if we deny it, he can come back in 30 days.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll find out. I suspect that one of my attorneys filed this, and I wasn't aware of it. I know that it needed to be filed actually about 3 years ago. And when I ended up trying to do something with the city, they said, "You don't own that property." I said, "Yeah, I bought it some time ago." So here, we started the process, and I presume that's, where we are.
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah. So I think we can work that out.
All right.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown and Camille, for your time and presence, and we're not adverse to your operation at all. We're just doing procedurally what we have to do. Or that's the proposal anyway. That's the recommendation. We haven't done anything yet. We're liable to.
Any other questions of Lee while I'm here? Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sorry you had to wait all day.
That's all right.
Any other person who wishes to speak on this item? If not, I think we've had discussion on this, and everyone understands the situation. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny F22-045.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Plats denied. All right, that brings us to consent plats A. Are we likely to approve all these, Kyle? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to run through them quickly. P22-011 Jordan Plaza, P22-001 Blue Mountain, P22013 West Peninsula, F22048 Copper Cove, F22049 Sage Meadows. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on any one of these plats? If not, is there a recommendation or a motion to approve consent plats Group A?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve consent plats Group A.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve consent plats Group A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? How about plats Group B? Are these still recommending denial, or are there any
Yes, sir.
approvals in here?
Denial, yeah.
All right, the next group is consent plats Group B, F22005, F22042, F22054, F22016, F22014, F21142, F22043, F22009, F21-193, F22-015, F22016. Are there persons here that'd like to speak on any of these plats? If not, staff recommendation is to deny all of those plats. Is that correct, Kyle?
That's correct.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we deny consent plats Group B.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny group plats. I'm sorry?
No, okay. I didn't know if I needed to formally, retroactively recuse myself. That was my fault for not.
Probably would have been advisable, but just don't vote.
We're denying it because you're here.
Yeah, we're denying.
That's fair.
All, all those in
That's what I
favor?
get for not paying attention about 2 minutes into it.
It's okay. It's all right. It's a long, it's been a long agenda. We've got more to do. Any, motion's been made and seconded to deny all these. All those in favor of denying consent plats Group B. Did I say that right? Say aye. Aye. All right, thanks. So are we moving or we staying here? Can we stay here? Can we stay here, please?
Sure.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Up to,
Zach Clark, why are you out of uniform?